Hi everyone, I'm Shivani and I'm working as a QA automation engineer here at Velotio, and I have expertise in QA automation practices, which include writing automated tests, setting up CI/CD, and automation testing. Today I'll be talking about one such test framework which I'm currently working on, and that is WebdriverIO. So if you are a QA looking to automate tests for modern web application as well as mobile applications, along with report generation, then WebdriverIO is one of the frameworks you might want to consider. So let's see what is this framework about. What is WebdriverIO? WebdriverIO is a widely used test automation framework in JavaScript. It is built to automate modern web applications, hybrid as well as native mobile applications, along with desktop applications as well. It supports various features like reports, services, test frameworks, and also CLI test runners. And most importantly, it is open source. A lot of methods are available which you can use to make your coding life easier. If you want to perform some actions like you want to click on an element, or you have to set some value to an element on the UI, or you have to drag and drop, you can have these methods inbuilt. There are many methods available which you can use while coding your tests. If you want to perform some actions, the methods like click, set value, or drag and drop are available. If you want to check if an element is interactable on the UI, you can do it by simply checking if it is clickable, it is displayed on the UI, or is it enabled. Also, if you want to get some property of an element, you can check with get text, get HTML, get location, and many more. Also, there are implicit bits available for an element to load on the UI. So for example, if you want to wait for an element to be clickable, you can use wait for clickable. Similarly, wait for displayed, wait for enabled. Setting up WebdriverIO in your project is pretty simple. You just need three things to be installed: Node, NPM, and Java. You just have to run a simple command, which is npm init wdio in your current project, and you will see some questions asked. You just have to press enter with the default values, and you will see something like this on completion of installation. Then you just have to proceed to write your code in your tests, and then you can run your test using this run command. This is the directory structure we generally follow in WebdriverIO projects. We have page objects folder in which all the locators for given one page of a functionality are mentioned. For example, if you have a login page, then all the locators of the elements on the login page are supposed to be present in this file only. This will make your work easier to locate the elements and the locators in your files as well while you are implementing the tests. Then you have specs folder where all your test cases and test suites will go. So here one spec can be a test suite for one functionality. Like for example, if you have login functionality on your website, you can have all your test cases about login functionality in this particular spec file. Then you have the utils folder where you have the common utilities or the helper functions which will help you in your tests. Speaking of reports, WebdriverIO provides integrated reports as well. This one is the Allure report. Now, you can see how beautifully and systematically all the information is arranged, right? You can see how many of your test cases were executed, how many of them passed, how many of them failed. You can also see the results test suite wise. So if you have let's say if you have 10 test suites, all of them will be listed here along with the pass and fail count of the test cases from each of the suite. When the test case is passed, you will see something like this. You will see the duration of the test case it ran for. You can see the severity of the test case which you have defined in your tests. You can see the browser version, and if you have run one test case over a particular period of time, you can also check that in the history tab. Also, if the test case required retries to pass, it is shown under retries tab. Now, these reports are helpful when there are failed test cases. As you can see here, one of the test cases failed. And from this red block over here, you can see that Some element was expected to be displayed on the UI, but it wasn't. But if your test case has a huge flow, including various screens, you don't know on which screen this particular test case failed, right? For that, a screenshot is provided at the time when your test case fails. Now, these reports are helpful when there are certain failed test cases in your test suite. As you can see here, one of the test case has failed. And in this red block, in the overview, you can see that certain element was expected to be displayed, but it wasn't. Now, if you have a huge flow involving various screens, how do you know that on which screen this particular test case failed, right? Now, for that easiness, a screenshot is attached over here on the screen on which this test case fails. As you can see here, this particular element of username was supposed to be displayed on this particular page, but it wasn't. Now, this becomes helpful when you are debugging the test case failures instead of scrolling all the way up in your console logs. Isn't it great? I'll be showing you two demos today. One is a simple login automation with valid and invalid credentials, and the other one will be posting a tweet on Twitter using the latest hashtag. Now, before proceeding to the demo, I would like to show you how a test suite or a test case file looks like. Now, you can see here many blocks are present or described before each and it. A describe block represents one test suite under which each and every test case will be under it or individual test case block. So all the test cases regarding the login functionality will come under this particular describe block. You can also see before and before each. These play a very important role in the test cases. Now, the before block will perform certain actions listed over here before even starting the execution of your test cases. For example, if you want to open browser and go to a particular URL, you just have to do this particular thing once in the execution, right? So you can have this placed in your before block, which will only be performed once. Before each block, as the name suggests, will run before executing each and every test case. So, for example, for all of your test cases, you need to be present on one particular screen, and the test cases flow might go onto different pages. For example, here we are waiting for the login page heading to be displayed because we are supposed to be on the login page before starting my test case, correct? And then we have our test case where one test case is represented. We have various methods, as I mentioned before, like we are waiting for some heading to be displayed. There can also be some assertions, which is nothing but comparing if after performing certain steps, if the outcome of the steps is similar to what you expect. That can be done using assertions, which can be done using expect functionality. Now here, we expect that the login page heading should be displayed. Over here, we can see that we are expecting some flash alert to be existing or a flash alert to have some text, which should be this, right? We can also have a hard wait in some cases, and which can be represented by browser.pause with the time in milliseconds. So let's head to our demo. And in our second demo, we'll be performing these steps. We will log into our Twitter account, browse to the trending page, fetch the trending number 1 hashtag right now, and then write a tweet and post it. And verify if the tweet is correctly posted in the profile section. So let's head to our demo. Okay, so this is the first demo of the login automation. I have two test cases here inside the it block, which is login with the valid credentials and login with invalid credentials. Okay, so after having login with user and password, we are expecting some text to be displayed on the UI, and same with the invalid credentials. So let's see. The runners are getting assigned some things to be downloaded here. And now we can start our test case. I mean the execution. So now the browser has opened correctly, logged in, username and password. The message is displayed. Now with the invalid password. The invalid message is displayed now. And that was pretty quick. Right. So here, as you can see, all our test cases were passed in our suite, and we have this report. And now let's jump to the second demo, which is Twitter. I'll be just changing the file name here, and let's see. So this is a conf file which has a number of configurations where you can add the path of the specs, the Chrome version you're using, and much more, and many stuff like that. So let's see how the Twitter goes. Okay, so we are logging into Twitter right now. I've already made a demo account for this purpose. So I'll be logging in that those credentials only. So we are waiting here for the username and password fields. Password is entered, logged in. Now we'll go to Explore tab, the Trending tab, to get the first hashtag. Oh, it's earlier, but okay. And we have tweeted. And yes, it has been tweeted on UI. Did you see that? And our test case has been passed. So if this was a pretty fast automation, let me just show you how the tweet which we created via automation is actually there on the UI. So let's see for that. Okay, so I have logged in my Twitter account right now, or the demo account. And this is what we had tweeted in our demo, which was the first trending hashtag along with automate tweet with me text, which I've configured in my test always. So yeah, that worked. Let me show you. So so let me show you how I've structured this particular test case in my spec. So I've created one it block or test case block where I generally try to follow the OOPS concepts. So I will find a lot of methods over here. So first I'm logging into the Twitter, and then I'm expecting that the home page heading should be displayed, right? Because we have to know that we have logged in correctly. And then I'm going to the Explore tab, and then to the Trending tab, which to get the first Twitter or the first latest hashtag. So I'm getting the first hashtag over here, latest hashtag. So I'm getting my tweet over here, and then we are going to post a tweet. And after the post or after the tweet is posted or tweeted, we'll go to the profile and then we'll check if my tweet, this is the main line here, if my tweet is displayed or not in my file on Twitter. So that is how this test case was designed for this demo purpose. And I hope you found it useful. So these are the two videos which I designed for today's video. And I hope you got an insight of how WebdriverIO works and what are functionalities it has provided to make your work easier. And hope this was helpful to you. Thank you.